They do this to send a message. They do this because, sure, it's one person, right? But that one person could be anyone, which is why it is so impactful, which is why this is so important to the leftist machinery of propaganda and of making sure that people stay within the prescribed political boundaries. Because, Clay, there are very few, we do political commentary, right? So if someone's going to come at us like fair game, there are very few people whose companies would withstand even a short but aggressive political campaign to have them fired. Very few places would say it's so worth having, Susie scanning the groceries at our Quickie Mart or whatever that we're going to keep her even though there are 100 emails saying she should be fired because of this thing. Very few places. So this is a silencing mechanism, right? Now, they could say that the Libs of TikTok account is a public person, but I would want to know, well, what are the rules now for any kind of anonymity when it comes to media? Who do they go after? Who do they not? What accounts do they unveil? What accounts do they keep secret? And why talk to her parents? What does that have to do with anything?
It's a method. Well, and we should mention that the Washington Post reporter who is doing all of this was within the last month on MSNBC crying over the fact that people were saying mean things about her online, and nobody should have to ever deal with this. I think we have some audio.
Here's how she discusses the situation of bullying online.
My cell phone number getting out there, people calling, people harassing my family members, stalking me, like all of that is incredibly terrifying and invasive. And it's bled out into the physical world, too, which is even more terrifying, right? But to me, I think what especially the media needs to understand about this is, in terms of protecting their own reporters, is this is just a tool. Like, harassment is a tool to kind of discredit and silence journalists. And the right-wing media plays along with it.
So she wants special protection for journalists to be able to ruin anyone's life that they choose. We're supposed to lay off of her, and here she is, because she gets even more sad over this. This is a woman who actively tries to ruin people's lives for her profession, makes that choice. Here she is when she gets a little heat her way.
They'll threaten children. They'll threaten my parents. I've had to remove every single social tie. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad. You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating.
And terrifying.
It's horrifying. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
It's overwhelming. It's really hard.
Oh, stop. She is the worst person on the internet. Buck, she has a multi-billion-dollar media corporation backing up her investigation of a random anonymous account on social media. The direct result of what she's whining about, she's showing up at somebody's mom and dad's house, knocking on the door, trying to out them, trying to dox who is running this account because she disagrees with their politics. And then she's going to break down in crocodile tears on MSNBC and talk about how unfair the world is. Look, you're in the game. We're in the game, Buck. If one of us, imagine the reaction if one of us went on Fox News and we were like, sometimes people say really mean things to me on the internet, and we would be like, people rightly would mock and ridicule us to the ends of the earth. This is the world in which we choose to live. You can't argue for different standards for yourself because your feelings are upset while you're trying to destroy other people's lives like she is.
And I would just want everyone to know that the journalistic establishment, even though they're aware of how grotesque this is at some level to go after, and this is, by the way, she's not a first offender. She's done this to other people. She goes out. She was trying to get Kellyanne Conway's, I think at the time, 14-year-old daughter to give her quotes about the fighting between George Conway and Kellyanne Conway. I mean, she's horrible, okay? Yeah. She's a person of incredibly poor judgment who does destroy people, who does ruin people's lives. Clearly, she's aware of how damaging it can be to have the media focused in on you and sharing details about you, and she makes a career of that anyway. So there's really, I think she's a sociopath. I really mean that. I think there's something wrong with her.